Welcome back to Factor. Pakistan's electricity sector has long grappled with significant challenges, finding itself entrenched in a troubling status quo marked by expensive energy production, strained infrastructure, notable transmission and distribution losses, frequent load shedding, and burgeoning circular debt. This predicament has cast a shadow over the entire economy, plagued by unreliable and substandard electricity supply. In 2015, fuel and operation and maintenance (O&M) expenses accounted for nearly 56% of the total cost, equivalent to 7.53 rupees per unit. In contrast, the share of capacity charges was a mere 2.49 rupees, representing approximately 18% of the total cost. However, the scenario has since shifted dramatically, with capacity charges soaring to 9.77 rupees, now constituting the primary component of the steep tariff rate of 24.82 rupees per kilowatt-hour. Notably, the surge in capacity charges, which amounted to nearly 188 billion rupees in 2013, has skyrocketed to an astounding 1,250 billion rupees, reflecting a compound annual growth rate of 23.43%. Meanwhile, the proportions of variable fuel, O&M, distribution margin, and transmission and distribution (T&D) costs have remained relatively stable over the same period. This dispels the notion that T&D losses serve as the primary drivers behind the escalating power tariffs. Data indicates that the contribution of T&D losses to the tariff has remained stagnant, if not declining. One significant factor contributing to expensive electricity in Pakistan is the independent power producer (IPP) deals. IPPs are private companies that build, own, and operate power plants to generate electricity. These deals were initiated in the mid-1990s as part of efforts to address power shortages and attract private investment in the energy sector. Capacity payment to IPP plants is called some sort of evil, especially considering that these plants typically operate for only 100 to 500 hours per year. The concern lies in the significant contribution of these furnace oil-based plants to the energy mix, currently standing at 14% in Pakistan. In contrast, globally, such plants are typically utilized during periods of peak demand and account for a maximum of 4 to 6% of the total amount billed to customers. Overall, Pakistan's energy mix, heavily reliant on expensive fossil fuels combined with contentious IPP deals, has contributed to the high cost of electricity in the country. Data compiled by the Ministry of Energy reveals a stark reality regarding electricity distribution. Most of Pakistan's best-performing districts outside of Punjab are on par with the worst-performing districts within Punjab in terms of power theft. Except for distribution companies in Punjab, PESCO, GEPCO, LESCO, and MESCO, and IESCO, transmission and distribution losses for all other companies across the country exceed 15%. In the fiscal year 2019-20, these losses peaked at 38.9% for PESCO, closely followed by 36.3% for SEPCO. Conversely, the top-performing companies like PESCO and IESCO have managed to keep losses below 10%. Revenue recovery rates, exceeding 94% for all DISCOs in Punjab, sharply decline as one moves to DISCOs in Sindh, Baluchsitan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhuwa. The cumulative effect of electricity loss and unpaid bills translates into significant annual losses for the distribution companies. Evidence of electricity theft is glaring, particularly in major cities across Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhuwa, and Baluchistan. While pinpointing the exact fraction of electricity lost due to theft remains challenging, transmission and distribution losses surpassing the benchmark set by the best-performing distribution company offer a reasonable approximation. In 2022 alone, transmission and distribution losses amounted to a staggering 520.3 billion rupees, with state-owned distribution companies, excluding K Electric, reporting a loss of 22,298 gigawatt-hours of electricity. Under the current regulatory framework, generation and distribution companies, whether public or private, are remunerated under a cost-plus model, entailing guaranteed margins. However, this setup creates a moral hazard dilemma, as these companies lack adequate incentives to enhance operational efficiency. Consequently, the government and ultimately taxpayers bear the brunt of the disparity between actual provision costs and recoveries. See you soon on Factor.